Woman Ilhan Omar's net worth went up nearly $30 million. The question is how? Here's what we know. Omar's husband, a former political consultant, owns a venture capital firm based in Washington.
Wait, stop scrolling. Look at these numbers on the screen. How does a member of Congress go from a $50,000 net worth to over $30 million in just 12 months? We aren't talking about a lucky lottery ticket. We're talking about a winery and venture capital that suddenly appeared out of thin air. You need to see how this math actually works. Did you catch the specific detail about the winery? It went from a maximum of $50,000 in assets to $5 million in a single year. That's a 10,000% increase. And look at the husband's company, reported at $1,000, then suddenly $25 million. When she says on social media that she barely has thousands, the financial disclosures are screaming something completely different. It's like they aren't even trying to hide the paper trail anymore because they think nobody is actually reading these filings. The craziest part is the expert husband with zero investment experience suddenly managing $60 billion of investor money. You have to wonder what he's actually bringing to the table besides a marriage certificate. This isn't just a political talking point, it's a mathematical anomaly that would trigger a massive audit for any regular person. We're sitting here watching a wealth explosion while the rest of the country is trying to figure out how to pay for groceries.
About the queen of the Somali fraudsters, our friend Ilhan Omar. Take a listen.
Ilhan Omar definitely committed immigration fraud against the United States of America. She has been at the center of a lot of the worst fraudsters in the Somalian community.
Yeah, she married her brother to get him in, which means they both should go back.
This JD Vance interview is a total game changer because he's finally putting a name to it: immigration fraud. He's calling out the marriage to her brother allegation that's been floating around for years, but now it's coming from the vice president's level. Notice how he emphasizes vowing to coordinate between all branches. That's a subtle hint that the DOJ and ICE might actually be allowed to do their jobs for once. If they actually move on denaturalization, it would be one of the most significant legal shifts in modern political history. It's a privilege to be a citizen here, and for a lawmaker to allegedly defraud the very system she's supposed to represent is the highest level of betrayal. You can see the intensity in the interview. They know the evidence is there, but the question is whether the swamp will actually let the charges stick. It's all about whether they have the spine to hold their own accountable.
Sit-down interview that there is no investigation of any fraud under $1.5 million. So you just might as well stroke. Boom, a $1.5 million check to anybody who wants to lie to the federal government. What kind of a message are you sending to our nation? I just want to thank you for playing that clip, by the way.
Did you hear that number? 1.5 million. That is the magic threshold. Apparently, there is no investigation of any fraud under that amount. Think about how massive of a loophole that is. You could theoretically walk away with $1 million check from the federal government, and as long as you don't get too greedy and hit that 1.5 mark, you're basically off the radar. This is why you see so many of these local community leaders and politicians getting caught up in these Somali fraud schemes. They know the system is designed to ignore the small fish, but when you have thousands of people doing it, it adds up to billions in stolen taxpayer money. It's a total breakdown of the rule of law. We are being told there isn't enough money for Social Security or infrastructure, yet they're literally ignoring million-dollar heists because it's under the limit. It makes you realize the system isn't broken. It's working exactly how they designed it.
Sheriff Phyllis McCormick committed 25 ethics violations.
And this comes after Sheriff Phyllis McCormick spent 7 hours in a rare high-pressure meeting on Capitol Hill on Thursday. The Congresswoman refused to answer our crews on her way out. The Democrat is facing more than 24 charges for alleged misconduct, and the charges include accusations that she stole millions of dollars in FEMA COVID-19 relief funds and funneled the cash into her campaign for Congress in 2021. Sheriff Liz McCormick is also facing a federal indictment for the same.
This McCormick situation in Florida is the rare moment where someone actually gets caught. 25 out of 27 ethics violations. She allegedly took millions in COVID relief funds, money meant for people losing their businesses, and funneled it directly into her own campaign for Congress. Talk about a self-made politician. She's facing 50 years in prison, but notice how the news report says she's fiercely denying everything while refusing to answer questions. It's the same playbook every time. What's truly wild is the statistic mentioned. Only 0.17% of Congress members have ever been expelled. You are more likely to be struck by lightning than to be kicked out of Congress for corruption. They've turned D.C. into a protected fortress where you only get thrown to the wolves if you become too much of a liability for the rest of the party.
A number of things. First of all, we're going to turn back on those anti-fraud protections so that all of these cabinet officials are looking at what's going on and focusing on it. The second thing is that we're going to take a whole of government approach. So much of what's going to make the anti-fraud task force work is that we're communicating across different departments. So when Bobby Kennedy is talking to Scott Bessent about things that he's seeing in Medicare and Medicaid, when Scott is seeing things at Treasury, when Brooke is seeing things at Agriculture, when Scott is seeing things at Housing and Urban Development, what we're going to actually...
Here is the new plan. JD Vance is talking about a whole-of-government approach to actually stop the bleeding. The goal is to force the bureaucracy, Medicare, Medicaid, Treasury, Agriculture, to actually talk to each other. It sounds simple, but the reason it hasn't happened yet is that the silos are where the corruption hides. When one department doesn't know what the other is doing, it's easy for billions to vanish. If they actually manage to turn the anti-fraud protections back on, the shockwaves through DC will be massive. They're essentially trying to install an alarm system in a house where the doors have been left wide open for years. It's going to be a battle between the political principals and the career bureaucrats who have been profiting from the chaos. This is the real war happening behind the scenes that the mainstream media won't tell you about. They think we aren't watching the math, but the numbers don't lie. Drop a comment below if you think members of Congress should be banned from trading individual stocks. Don't forget to like and follow for the next breakdown.